Hey guys, Zephyr here. Today I want to talk about the brand new Silent Knight charity mount for this year, or should I say, charity bundle. Yep, for the first time ever to my knowledge, instead of just a charity mount, this year we're actually getting a whole bundle with both a mount and a 3-piece gear set for stitching. For those who don't know, every year KI has a charity mount you can buy and a portion of the net proceeds go to different charities. This year, the net proceeds up to $50,000 will be split between Creative Action and Able Gamers, and I'll link both their websites in the description if you want to learn more. Also, as an added bonus, this charity bundle is redeemable in both Wizard101 and Pirate101, so you can buy it once and get it in both games, which is definitely a great positive. So, as mentioned before, this year's charity bundle is a little bit different. We get a charity mount and then also some gear pieces, but in return, the price has gone up a little. In previous years, when you got just the mount, it was about $15, and this year it's $25, so you are paying a bit more for the additional gear pieces you're getting. Obviously, most mounts in the crown shop go for about 7,500 crowns or $15 anyway, and I would expect a full gear set to be somewhat similar in price, so the $25 price tag does make some sense. Plus, a good chunk of the net proceeds are going to charity, so compared to other bundles, I feel less inclined to be as critical about pricing when the money is going to a good cause. Now let's talk about the bundle itself. For anyone who has played Wizard101 for a while, this bundle may look a bit familiar. You may recognize it as being essentially a reskin of the Valiant Jouster gear and Duster mount from the Grand Tourney Arena Bundle. Basically, for this reskin, which is called the Silent Knight gear, they changed the symbol on the gear pieces to look like a Christmas tree instead of essentially a bird with its wings outstretched. The helmet also no longer has the protective cage-like flap and instead has antlers attached to the top. Finally, they added a sort of white frost-like fringe around all the gear pieces and obviously placed the red and green glowing lights around everything. All the gear pieces are cosmetic only with no stats, so this set is definitely meant purely for stitching. I will say that I like the Christmas tree symbol, the white fringe, and the color-changing lights on the outfit. It definitely makes it feel fun and festive for the season, although the helmet looks a bit clunky to me with the antlers. Interestingly, we don't get a Christmas version of the Valiant Jouster lance, or any wand for that matter, with this charity bundle, although when you're riding the mount, you appear to hold a red Christmas-themed lance with more lights wrapped around it. Since they clearly bothered to design a Christmas-themed lance wand, it's too bad we don't get a version we can equip to use when not riding the mount. But let's talk about the mount itself. It's called the Charity Silent Reindeer and is again very similar to the Duster mount from the Grand Tourney Arena Bundle. The Duster mount is a lighter brown in color than the Charity Silent Reindeer, and its saddle is dyeable, but unfortunately none of the Silent Knight Charity Bundle pieces or mount can be dyed, so you are stuck with the red color, which is kind of a bummer. Just like the other gear, they added a Christmas tree symbol to the front of the mount and also tacked on antlers to the head. And I gotta be honest, this is where I start to have more issues with this bundle. They clearly wanted to try to turn this horse into a reindeer, but just adding antlers to the head doesn't negate the fact that it still looks overwhelmingly like a horse. Like, I'm sorry, but look at the tail alone. Do you know any reindeers with tails like that? No. The hooves also look like horse hooves and not reindeer hooves, and just the overall build make the whole reindeer aesthetic rather unconvincing. It honestly reminds me of when the Grinch needed a reindeer and just stuck some reindeer antlers on poor Max, but like clearly he's a freaking dog. Like no one is going to be fooled into thinking this horse is a reindeer. So I do kind of wish KI at least made a few tweaks so the mount looked more like an actual reindeer, even if they just tweaked the hooves and the tail. I don't mind the Christmas lights strung around it and actually kind of like that aesthetic, but the rest is just not great. I mean, they literally already have other mounts that look pretty close to reindeer, like the white stag, but maybe they didn't want to reskin that one again because they did that already. Or, you know, they have a literal reindeer attached to the reindeer sleigh mount, so they also could have reused that model with some tweaking. I don't know, I guess this particular reskin of the horse just feels particularly, like, lazy to me, which is too bad since they clearly had other easy options to work with. And this point kind of leads into a general issue I want to cover, which is the increase in reskins we've seen recently in Wizard101. Reskins of existing mounts, gear, and pets has been a thing for a while now, and I'm okay with reskins up to a certain point. Obviously, they cut down on development time and allow KI to have more stuff available more quickly than having to design every single piece from scratch every time. However, I feel like there's been a pretty large increase recently, which means way less new original designs coming out. Some examples from the last few years, just off the top of my head, include the sabertooth tiger when we already have like 3 other sabertooth tiger mounts, the recent $99 gold Wallaroo bundle Outback Rover mount, which was a very expensive reskin of the charity parade truck, automobile, and yuletide parade truck, yet somehow has less passenger room than the others despite costing way more. Then there's the Stormzilla and Mecha Dino mounts, which are reskins of the original Dino mount, and like here I have less problems with the Mecha Dino mount because that's just a slight tweak, but if you're telling me that this and this are the same thing, like, come on, the body proportions on this one are weird as heck, okay?
Oh my god!
I also keep seeing the same bunny pets everywhere, from the snow hoppers, to bunny mallows, to the March hares, and choco hoppos. Then there's like 10 pet rocks, the trolling stone, the lump of coal, the exclusive rock skipper and rocketeer, and then because of leaks, we know that there's also going to be a jingle bell rock released soon as well. Like, no one needs that many pet rocks. And don't even get me started on the piggles.
Oh, that's not so much. So?
Like, I'm not against some reskins, but it gets out of hand after a certain point, and most of these pets and mounts aren't exactly cheap or discounted because they're reskins. There's also issues with no new Christmas packs this year, just an updated Yuletide elf pack where they just slapped on 3 differently colored wooden duck pets and rocking horse mounts and called it a day with the exact same gear as last year. I don't know how other people feel, but to me it just feels like we've gotten a lot less original designs for gear, mounts, and pets this year. It's easier for them to just tweak existing designs and then sell them for full price than invest the time to make brand new stuff, which is a pity. And don't get me wrong, there has been some really cool new stuff this year, I just wish there was, you know, more of it. Obviously, there's a balancing act happening here, and I'm sure KI has to make difficult choices about where to best spend their resources, but the lack of care given to some of their recent choices with designs and reskins, reusing old packs and calling them new or updated when they barely changed anything, or trying to call this obvious horse a reindeer, to me is just very disappointing, and I hope this pattern doesn't get even worse over time. There are definitely some positives to this year's charity bundle, and I like that we're getting more than just a mount this year for a change. I just wish it wasn't such a clunky and obvious reskin, but instead something more new and exciting. Let me know what you think of the Silent Night charity bundle in the comments below, as well as your thoughts on the issues of reskins in Wizard101. Do you think it's gotten worse the past few years, or is it just me? If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and as always, I hope to see you out there in the spiral, and happy questing!